crash bulkheads, and the bunk tops. There are a lot of little details to take care of before we can enclose those spaces. My name's Alan Mulholland, and this is the story of how I built the Wave Rover 650. 3 years ago, I refitted a 40-year-old Contessa 26 and took her on an amazing 7,800 nautical mile ocean voyage. We crossed the Atlantic twice, but a knockdown on the second crossing and COVID-19 put an end to my solo circumnavigation. So now, I'm building a new boat, smaller, lighter, but more suited for a solo circumnavigation. The Wave Rover 650. Well, in the last video you saw me fit the crash bulkheads and the bunk tops. Well, now there are a lot of details left. So the bunk tops in particular, there has to be access points, 5 access points per bunk with a lid. So that'll take up most of my efforts in this video, but also there are some details left to take care of for supports for the crash bulkheads. Anyway, a lot to do. Time to crack on. Well, let's start off by laying out some cut lines on the bunk tops. Now with the straight cuts made, we can use the jigsaw to cut the curves. So this is the port underside of the bunk. And what I have to do next is I have to put little cleats on all the way around. So it's actually quite a bit of wood that'll go into putting those cleats on. But over here, I brought this in with me today. This is what's left over from an old bed I had built, and I just put the wood off to the side. It's nice and dry. It's probably 10 years old, and this will be perfect for making those cleats all the way around. All right, time to crack on with that. So the reason for doing the round over on these cleats that are largely going to be just invisible, you know, they're on the underside of the bunk. Well, the reason for doing these round overs is because they're all going to get painted with S1 epoxy, and the epoxy, just like any paint, is going to stick to a rounded surface much better than a square surface. It'll just wear off, and it's in a high wear area on account of the you know, it's a storage area. Things will be going in and out. Anyway, time to crack on with getting the rest done. Now the let me see if you can see this, but wherever I switch from the skill saw to the jigsaw, it leaves a little bit of a lip, and I wanted the lip actually to be on the lids and not in the bunk top. So now it's just a matter of fixing that, which you can do with a block plate. Just that easy. Now it's time for the big glue up. Okay, the bunk top is complete in the sense that all the cleats have been glued on. This is the underside we're looking at. Now let's just take a quick look at the other side. Oh, can't do this with the camera. So that's what we're looking at. Okay, so this is one of the bunk tops with the supports already in it. So let me see if I can get a close-up of that. So it looks pretty good. And now here is one of the finished ones with the lids in it. Well, the bunk tops, which you see right beside me here, these openings are pretty big, but that's for two reasons. One is you can certainly get a lot more or bulky items into there than if I had made small ones. But the second thing that was going through my mind is these, and I'll have 10 almost identical panels like these. These will be terrific for any sort of damage control situation that may arise, such as maybe a little hole that might appear in the hull for some reason. This is the same thickness as the hull, and it's a good size to manipulate. Anyway, just a thought that was running through my head. Time now to crack on with the next step. Well, this is a good time to catch up on a few small jobs. So I'm up in the forepeak right here. This is the area that the crash bulkhead is going to go. Let me just see if I get it focused. And I just put this little cleat in, and it's glued with epoxy and a thickened epoxy. So that'll take the leading edge of the crash bulkhead. Now, in a previous video, you saw me put in the longitudinal bulkheads. Now, they are 16 feet in length, so it's really 2 sheets of plywood bonded together. And at that point where it was bonded, I need now to come back and strengthen the joint. And that's what I'm doing in this segment. So I also wanted to get this little area done because it's right where the seam is on the longitudinals. So this one had just a tiny little difference in thickness, and what I did was I put together a little bit of thickened epoxy, then just glassed right over it while it was still wet, and the glass just helps to make that contour really fair. All right. I'd like to take a moment to honor the Wave Rover Benefactors. So what is a benefactor? Well, these folks have made a contribution of $100 US or more to the project, and their names will be affixed to a bulkhead inside Wave Rover and will be traveling with me on our circumnavigation. Now, these donations truly are much appreciated. Well, Rovers, I really thought I would get a lot more done in this video, but you know, there are a number of details that you just have to do, and sanding and getting rid of all the sharp edges on the bunk tops and also the crash bulkheads, that takes time. And it's so important though, because inside those spaces, when I paint it in the next video with the S1, that's the finish. That's it. There's no more. That area is done. So you just want to make sure that you take that little extra effort and prep all the areas, and that's where the time goes. Anyway, in the next video, it's going to be all about painting these and then installing them. So hopefully at the end of the next video, we will have crash bulkheads installed, port and starboard quarter, as well as the forepeak and the bunk tops. And that'll be a significant step forward. From there, we can start building bulkheads again. So, as always, Rovers, thanks for watching. Well, the Wave Rover patrons, with their pledges of support, really do make the creation of these videos possible. Now, if you'd like to know more about Wave Rover's patron page and Benefactors bulkhead, I have links to both those pages in the video description. Now, another way to help Wave Rover, and it doesn't cost you a dime, is by sharing our content on your social media. So now, as always, Rovers, thanks for watching. Give us one more. Brilliant.